Blessings, divine greetings. It's your boy Jamaican Tupac. Welcome once more to Red Pills for the Matrix, where we dissect and question to find what is closest to the absolute truth. Now, as you may have already deduced based on the title, this episode is about God, the existence of God. Is God real? Now, let me just say that whatever is said in this episode is not for self-promotion, but for the greater glory of the Most High. There is a quote, I can't recall who said it now, but there is a quote that says, "Those who don't believe in magic will never find it." And I would like to paraphrase that quote and say, those who don't believe in miracles will never find it. If you look at the universe and how it is designed, everything is done with such precision. There is no mistakes. Everything on a chemical level is balanced. Everything on a biological level is in a perfect order. And it's as if it was orchestrated rather than just an evolution out of a big bang, as scientists may claim. So I think nature is evidence of God's existence. As a youth, I was an unbeliever. I was very skeptical concerning anything that represented God or any form of deity. I invested all of my trust into the tenets of science and technology. In fact, I'd say 99.99% of my trust was in science and technology. And I'd say that 0.01% would just account for mystical phenomenon that science was yet to explain. You get me? So I can still remember debating with my high school classmates like Yeshi Paradan, John I. Lewis, John Michael Spencer. I'd be the one eloquently and adamantly and passionately denying God, the best way I could find. So how did this youth become such a strong believer? Now, you see, there is a quote by an actor, screenwriter, called Woody Allen. This man said that if you want to give God a good joke, tell him about your plans. And I was always thinking that I'd be a revolutionary musician who liberate people from religious cults. When I was 16 years old and I graduated from high school, I moved to Portland. I left St. Thomas and I moved to Portland, and I applied for college and I got the acceptance letter. I told a person who was supposedly my friend, and this person apparently was not very happy about this new development, and as a result they spiked my spliff. I was a smoker then. I still smoke now occasionally, but I used to smoke marijuana then. And he put whatever he put in my spliff, really affected my mental state. You could say, if you say I was a madman, you wouldn't be wrong. Garbage bin. To be honest with you, there are just a few hospitals in Jamaica that hasn't seen my face. Bellevue, Ward 21, Princess Margaret, Port Antonio Hospital, Maypen Hospital, you name it. Cornwall Regional Hospital in Mobile, been there. With this mental disorder that I had. At one point I was in Bull Bay, based on an episode I was having. The illness came on, and I actually walked from Halfway Tree Road to downtown, then walked from downtown to Bull Bay, attempting to walk to St. Thomas. Crazy, right? When I reached 9 Mile, I found myself on a hill, throwing stones down at the public people on the road. you know, and some men, this was in darkness, some men came up there, you know, but I was tricked. One man came shining a light, and you know, 4 other men came behind him, or 5 other men, you know, so I thought it was one person coming. When he reached me, I just start getting licked, you know, beer lick, you know, and when I looked, the only thing I could do is jump off the precipice behind me, that, you know, I was on a hill, you get me, and they left, you know, all of my back was, you know, bruised up and a lot of blood, you know, they hit me in my head with a 2x4 board, so, you know, bleeding, you know, this was when I had that issue. There are other instances where I was stuck under the river. There was a river in Duckenfield. They said that river is haunted. It's called Works Yard, Duckenfield, Eastern St. Thomas. I've been stuck under that river twice, you know. I've been in car accidents, you know. There are numerous instances where I could have been a goner, you know. But as I mentioned in my latest release, God's Grace, or as Tina mentioned, you know, the female in that video, if it is God's will for you to live, then no one can kill you. But if it is God's will for you to die, then no one can save you. You know, I think it is written. I think, you know, destiny is fixed and mistake is a myth, you know. So considering all of these things that I went through, I'm going to wrap things up now with why I believe God has to be real. When I graduated from college in 2016, a year later I was living in Montego Bay. I was working, I think at the time I was working at Conduent. That's a call center in Barnet Tech Park, close to Catherine Hall. For those who are from the Montego Bay area, you would know that call center. And on a certain day, I was in a restaurant. This is a restaurant coming from BOS heading towards Pier 1, but you don't take the road to go across Pier 1. You keep on BOS Road. There's a restaurant right there on the right hand side. You know, I was in that restaurant and a lady came in behind me, you know, and you know, I was second in line, so when the person in front of me did their transaction and left, I went up, paid for my food, collect the receipt, and was heading towards the area that they serve the food, to collect the food, to, you know, have my lunch. I realized that she was having difficulty going into her handbag to retrieve her purse to pay for her food, because she had a lot of bags, like she was shopping or something. So my natural instinct told me to assist her. So I took about 3 of the bags from her, allowed her to go into her handbag, pay for the food, and as soon as she completed the transaction, I gave her back her bags, went over to collect my food, went over to the dining area and began to eat. This lady came and joined me. This was 2017 when I'm just leaving college, fully trusting in my own knowledge and wisdom, skeptical of anything divine or anything greater than myself. And this lady came to tell me that just now when I helped her, she had a vision. Now I was in my mind saying, hey, you had vision. So I'm thinking there's gonna, out comes the paper, a paper is gonna come out and I'm gonna be invited to some church or some service. She said yes, she had a vision. So I said, what kind of vision did you have? So she said, just now when you assisted me, God showed me that you are supposed to be, or you are supposed to lead the revolution for God's children in this generation, because you have the heart of David. You cannot hold a grudge. You want to see people strive. Clean heart, powerful spirit, brilliant mind. She didn't know me in any way, you know, and the only thing she knew, or I think she could have known on an intellectual level, is that I may be generous or kind based on the fact that I assisted her. But all of those attributes that she listed were accurate. So she piqued my interest, so I began to listen. So she continued saying that, however, nothing that you try will work unless you are connected with God. And I work, like I think she said, I work over by the driver's license place at Pier 1. You're gonna come tell me that what I told you is true. Now, I don't know if you're still working there at that driver's license place in Pier 1 if you're watching this, but this is me telling you now that that was true. Since 2017 up until about 2020, I've just been bouncing around. I've got numerous jobs and I hadn't been able to keep one. In fact, I don't think I did a job from 2017 to 2020 for longer than 6 months. And it is funny because, you know, there is a quote that says whenever the student is ready, then the teacher will appear. And sometimes the teacher is not even a physical person. Sometimes the teacher is a memory. Sometimes the teacher are things that you have already learned that you weren't putting into action or, you know, thinking about actively. You know, anyway, I wasn't able to really find peace and purpose and feel as if I'm progressing as a person until I embraced the idea of the Most High. You get me? So for some of you who are thinking, hey, I'm way too sinful, or I don't even know how to pray, or you know, that kind of stuff, the Muslims believe that if you make one step towards God, or Allah, because Allah is just Arabic for God, if you make one step towards God, then God will run towards you. You get me? And I don't think that what God wants is for us to be the most avid churchgoer, or the person who knows the most scriptures, or the person who you know, shows the best representation physically of God. You know, I think God is more concerned with you glorifying Him in your actions, words, thoughts, you know, and your habits. You know, my experiences cannot lie. You know, a person might say, but why would God stop your progress because you're not because you're not following Him or acknowledging Him? It's just that some of us have great purpose. Some of us were meant to be guides to others. Some of us are old souls. Some of us were walking with Christ. Remember that Jonah was charged with the task of going to Nineveh to tell the people that, hey, destruction is coming because, you know, you have not been obeying God's law. But he didn't want to be chastised by these people, so he chose not to, and he ended up in, you know, what the Bible describes as the belly of a great fish. Now, biologically speaking, or anatomically speaking, it should be impossible for a man to survive in a fish belly, or let's say a whale, because they said great fish, but the book didn't say whale, it said great fish. Now, for one, there is no oxygen in the stomach to sustain a man's life. Additionally, if it was a whale is a mammal, so that stomach would be packed with hydrochloric acid, pepsin, renin, you know, and that kind of harmful chemical that would dissolve a man in minutes. So maybe that story is an allegory. An allegory is a story that may not be actually true, but brings out a higher truth. And maybe the higher truth in this story is that when some of us ignores our purpose, then we end up in the belly of the beast. This has been Red Pills for the Matrix. Thank you for stopping by. Peace.